Hi guys, welcome back to a new video of mine. If you don't know me, I'm Emily and I love talking about books. So in today's video, I will be showing you a lot of books that you can read during fall, autumn, whatever you want to call it. I call it the best season of the year. After Christmas season. Like Christmas, December, that is like a whole nother realm for me. And then we have fall. So yeah, but fall reading is like the best reading season ever. I love it so much. So I pulled out a lot of books and it's just gonna be great. I'm filming this here on like my reading spot. I don't know what you want to call it. Because my bookshelf was literally empty, so it just didn't make any sense. And yeah, I feel like it looks very fall-esque, you know? Bear with me here, okay guys? Thank you. I don't know how I feel about it either, so yes. Anyways, let's start with all the fall book recommendations. I'm gonna be starting with thrillers, mysteries, because I love thrillers and mysteries, and I personally read them like all year round, but fall especially hits, you know? So I've got some great recommendations and let's just get into it. I also have my Notion page here for glance at it. These are all my mystery thriller recommendations. Let's start with this one, and this one is Everyone Here is Lying by Shari LaPena, which I recently read and absolutely loved it. It was such a good thriller. Like, it's so short, like just 300 pages, so it was really quick. I read it in one day. It's a perfect book to like get under your blanket and just read the whole book in one sitting because it's so interesting. There are multiple POVs in this book, which I personally just adore, and this is about a family and her daughter goes missing in this like really calm neighborhood, and you know, you're trying to figure out where this little kid, she's 9 years old, went, like who took her, I guess, and if she can still be saved. Then we have House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I love Riley Sager's thrillers. They're one of my favorites. And The House Across the Lake is like, it's set in October on this lake house, and this woman watches the woman across the lake go missing, and she suspects that the husband of the woman did it, and she's trying to figure out like what happened. And yeah, I personally really liked the plot twist. I know there are some mixed opinions. Please tell me in the comments how you felt about the book if you've read it. No spoilers though. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and it's such a quick, easy thriller and very well written. Then we have more of Riley Sager. This one is Final Girls by him. It is set in New York and it's about these 4 final girls. Final girls are girls who survive like a massacre, I guess. Like it's a term used from, I think, a slasher film. But yeah, and they survived these like big death, I guess, and everybody else got killed. But now each of them starts dying, and one of the final girls is trying to figure out like what's going on? Why are all these other final girls suddenly dying? And yeah, I just really enjoyed this book. It was so entertaining and like thrilling. Amazing. One of my favorites. Another personal favorite is Then She Was Gone by Lisa Joel. This one I read on my Kindle and then I got the physical copy just because I love it so much. And yeah, it is about another girl who went missing, and then it is a couple of years later and the mother of this girl, she still hasn't given up, but she finds a new boyfriend, and the daughter of the boyfriend reminds her so much of her daughter, and she's like trying to figure out why they're so similar in a way. And yeah, it's really dark. Definitely left me a bit unsettled, I would say, after reading, but I really enjoyed it and it was so entertaining. and so many different point of views again, which I love. Then we have Riley Sager's new release, The Only One Left, which is set on this big house on the cliff, which is always an amazing setting at first. And yeah, personally loved it. It's about this woman in the 1920s. Her whole family is massacred and she's the only surviving person, and you know, the police think that she did it, and it seems like she did it, and you're trying to figure out, like, did she actually do it? Because then there's a new person coming into this house like 60 years later, and because she takes care of this woman because she had a stroke and so she can't walk anymore, and it's just depending on help. And yeah, really good. Then we have some YA mysteries, and obviously I had to pull it out. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, my personally favorite YA murder mystery series. Yeah, and it gets so dark with the more and more books that come out in this series. So yeah, it gets really dark. Like, you could read it on like a spooky, dark, rainy day and just binge the whole book because it's so good and entertaining, but like perfect for fall. Yes. Then we have The Inheritance Games. I love this trilogy, and it's so fast-paced because the chapters are so short, and it's about this girl, Avery. She's just a normal girl, you know, like me and you, and then suddenly she inherits like billions of money, kind of living the dream, and she has to move in this big mansion with the 4 Hawthorne brothers, who were actually supposed to inherit this money of their grandfather, but he just gave it away to this random girl. So, kind of living the dream. And yeah, you're trying to figure out, like, why did he give the money to this random girl and not to his family? And then we have None Shall Sleep, which I recently read. It is like the Naturals series. I've heard I want to start the series now, but I read that one, and it's about 2 teenagers, and they are helping the FBI figure out a serial killer, like who is the serial killer and how can we stop him, and they had like personal experience, and that's why they are helping the FBI. And it is so good, and it gets so dark, and like for YA mystery or thriller, it gets really dark, and for some reason I really enjoyed it, so really good. Okay, let's go into romance, and then we'll go into Dark Academia, which is like kind of the best part about fall, but let's talk about the romance first. Okay, we got some great romance books here. I basically just grabbed all the books that are like yellow, red, and orange-ish. So we're gonna start with this duology, and that is A Part of Your World and Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And I absolutely love these 2 books. Like, they are one of my favorite romance books ever, and they're so good, like cozy and just fun, entertaining, but with a deeper meaning. And you know, like, there's talk about mental health, and it's set in a small town, this one. It's just so cute, and I absolutely love these 2 books, so I had to recommend them. And yeah, this one is giving Grey's Anatomy vibes. Love it. Then we have Love Theoretically. Listen, did I recommend this book because it's orange? Kinda, but it's also like STEM, which gives us school vibes, which is starting again in September, October, and I love that. And it's my favorite Ellie Hazelwood romance, so I just love it, and the characters are so good. I love Jack and Elsie, so yeah, and it's very like scientific-y, which is really cool. Then we have my favorite Emily Henry book, Book Lovers. I just love this book so much. I love Charlie, I love Nora, and it is set in New York, and then they go to this small town in North Carolina, I think. So it's a little bit summery, but perfect for September, I feel like. and it just gives off cozy vibes. Again, crisp air, leaves are turning red, kind of vibes. The spine is orange, and yeah, I just love this book so much. It's about a book editor and a book agent, which I feel like is so fun and kind of different. So yeah, loved it as well. And then you could already see it, we have Weatherbook Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and this book is basically there to romanticize rain, which is so fun. And yeah, I love this book so much. I read it when it was raining a lot and it actually helped, I guess. I don't know, I love the two main characters. They're so kind of like different, like the it's kind of like a different kind of romance because the male main character is plus size, which I felt like is very fresh and new because, you know, normally it's very like stereotypically, and they're both Jewish, which I feel like is really cool. And yeah, I love this book so much, and it gives off like perfect like cozy vibes, rainy vibes, but there's like sunshine peeking through, and yeah, love it. Okay, let's get into my favorite genre of fall, I would say, and that is Dark Academia. I feel like I've read all the big Dark Academia books that are out so far, which is really sad because I don't know what to read this fall. So if you have any Dark Academia recommendations I'm not gonna name right now, please let me know. Thank you. The first one, and that one is probably the most obvious one, is The Secret History, obviously. I mean, like, it's just Dark Academia, and I really liked it. It was not my favorite Dark Academia book, but you know, still really good. It's about these seven, I think there were 7 students were at this really classical college in New England, and somebody dies of their friends and they're trying to hide it and still go to school, you know, and things just go wrong, and it is so interesting and I loved it. Then we're gonna come to my personal favorite Dark Academia book. My favorite Dark Academia book is If We Were Villains. I love this story so much. It is truly a 10 out of 10, like 5 stars. I would give it more if I could. It is so good, and I have the special edition, so I just love them so much. And this book is again kind of like The Secret History but better, I'd say. Like, I preferred it actually. Okay, it's about 7 friends who go to this very highly rated college, I would say, in the US, and it's all about Shakespeare. Like, it's just for acting and Shakespeare, like the whole school just Shakespeare. And so the book is sorted into acts and then scene, which I do think is really good, and there are definitely some symbolisms between Shakespeare and this book, but you don't need to read Shakespeare to read this book. Like, I didn't read Shakespeare and I still understood everything, so it'll be fine to read this book. And yeah, it's just so good. And yeah, again, somebody of the friends dies and you're trying to figure out who died actually, and then like why he died. And yeah, the ending, shook, and it's my baby, okay? Nobody tell me anything bad about this. Then we have some YA, and here we have Truly Devious, which I do think is like kind of underrated, I feel like, but it's perfect for fall. It takes place in this big boarding school. It's still, you know, high school, and everybody who goes to the school goes there because they have like a something special they can do, you know. One is like a best-selling author while she's still really young. One, I think, does like invent video games or something, and she is saying that like she can go to the school and figure out who killed the founder of the school hundreds of years ago, and she does, and it is really cool to watch. And it's a trilogy, but there are other books in this universe, and I love them all so much. Then we have a bit of fantasy in Dark Academia First of all, we have The Atlas Six by Olivia Blake. I read these books last year and absolutely loved them so much. It is definitely harder, I feel like, to read. Like, these people are very pretentious and intellectual, and you really notice it when you read just because of the writing style of her. So yes, and yeah, but it is so good. Absolutely loved it so much. It's about 6 students who can go to this special grad school, I'd say, in London. I think it's London. Okay, so they go to this special school and they are getting into this Alexandrian society, but only 5 of them can actually be in this society. So at the end of the first book, they have to kill one of the 6, like all of them together have to kill one of the 6, so the rest can go to this Alexandrian society. And they all have superpowers, which is so interesting, and the romance is fantastic. So yes, please read. And the second book is amazing as well. So yes, the last page. Impatiently waiting for the third book, very impatiently. Okay, next book is Wishes by Whitney Schwab. I personally really love this book. It is about a super villain and a superhero person, and they were best friends, but then one of them goes off to be nice and one of them goes to be evil, and they get their superpowers to an experience that's like called like a near-death experience, and then they are extraordinary people, and there's like a whole group of these extraordinary people, and it's just so well written, so fast-paced. Like, I was so surprised when I read it, because the only Whitney Schwab book I've read before was The Invisible Life of Eddie Blue, and I feel like that one was not as fast-paced as this one, so it was really good. And then we obviously have to talk about Babel. It is definitely a more intellectual read than the other Jackie Academia books, but I wouldn't be afraid to read it because I understood it and I knew nothing about this. So, well, I wouldn't say I knew nothing about it, but you know, it's a lot about translations and stuff, which is definitely new, I feel like, to books. But it also talks a lot about colonism and what it means, like, to their mother country, I guess, because it is about this guy Robin, who is, his whole family dies in China, who is at that point a colony of the Great Britain, because it takes place in the 19th century, I'd say. I'm not sure. And yeah, this dude just comes over and is like, yeah, I can save you, but you have to study translation and then go to Oxford for me. But you can live in my house in England. And he was like, okay, let's do that. So he goes, he studies languages. I think it's Chinese or Mandarin, English, Latin and Greek. And yeah, then he goes to Oxford and learns about all that. And there's a magical element, which is really cool, how they use translations to run Great Britain. And yeah, it's just a really good book. Okay, let's go into fantasy. Okay, I didn't have a lot of fantasy books here, but some of the Dark Academia books have magic in them, so you know, they kind of go into each other. But the first one we have here is One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake, which is a Romeo and Juliet retelling that takes place in New York City in the now timeline. But it's about these 2 witch families who obviously are rivals, as in Juliet and Romeo. And yeah, it's so good. It's a little bit tragic, but you know, really good. And the writing is beautiful. Look at my tabs. And yeah, it's just really good. Okay, the next one we have is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, my personally favorite fantasy duology with Crooked Kingdom. It's about these 6 people. They're not friends yet, but they will be a fun family, which I absolutely love. And they're doing this heist, and it's so entertaining. You get all of the POVs, and it's just so good. There's a TV show that you should definitely go watch. Love it. We need more seasons. And yeah, I love this so much, and it's so good. Okay, then one more fantasy we have is the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I just recently read the second one. It was literally taking place during fall in New York City, and I really enjoy this fantasy series. It's a little bit older, but I still really enjoy it, and it's so fast-paced, so entertaining. I love the characters. We're getting to the Fawn family, which is really cool. And then last but not least, we have another personal favorite of mine, and that is Harry Potter. Look at this cute edition of the first book. I personally love it. It's from my mom. It's like really old, and the pages are literally yellow, but I love Harry Potter so much. I'm thinking about rereading it this fall, but my TBR is huge and I've already read it this year, so I don't know. We'll see. But I love this series so much, and it starts every year in September, which is so cool, and then goes over the whole school year. But it's definitely more an autumnal book, and it's about this guy, his family dies, and he goes to this wizarding school. He learns that he's a wizard, and he defeats the evil every year. So that's all I'm gonna say. And it's so good. And I know we don't like J.K. Rowling, but I love Harry Potter so much. Okay, now these were all the books I wanted to recommend you this fall. I wanted to make it a little bit shorter, but there were so many good books I needed to include, so it got really long. Hope you don't mind that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I see you in the next one. Please recommend me all your favorite fall reads that I need to read this year. My fall TBR will be out soon, plus a fall haul, which is really cool. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye guys!